Hi everyone. In this video, we'll show you how you can use contexts to add more context to all your incidents and make sure that you have all the data that you need to triage your incidents faster. So in this example, what we're going to do is we're going to add some context to our Sentry errors, and we're going to get this context from our GitHub integration. So basically, whenever a new incident comes in, I'd love to have some context around who pushed any new code to the account repository, and take it from there. So what we're gonna do is we'll go to our service, and in the integrations page, I'm going to say add a new context integration. So before that, I need to add a new integration. So I'm going to call it GitHub. And I'm going to select the application as GitHub. Go ahead and save this integration. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to configure my my GitHub integration. And I'm going to say add a webhook. And I'm going to choose a few events. Maybe I'm just going to do pushes, and I'm going to click on add webhook. So let's go ahead and test out this particular GitHub integration. And as you can see in the alerts logs, a new GitHub alert has come in, but it did not create any incidents, since it's just an info alert. Now, since this GitHub repository is associated with the Android prod service, you can see them in the integrations. I can go ahead and add this GitHub integration as a context for this particular service. So now whenever any new incident is created, I can just simply go to the context tab, and basically let's go ahead and create an incident, as a matter of fact. So I've just created a new incident. Yeah. So for every single incident, you can see that there is a tab called context. And in the context tab, you'll see all the context integration, all the data coming in from the context integration. So whenever an incident is created in the service, I can just go to the context tab to see if there were any new commits to our GitHub integration. Similarly, if let's say that your service is dependent on any of your if it's dependent on any other service, right? The integrations in the other service can be a context for your service. So I'm just going to call this a dependent service. I'm going to select an integration. I'm going to put an escalation policy. Now in the integrations tab, I'm just going to add a new context integration. So this context is going to come from our Android prod service. I'm just going to call it GitHub. Great. So let's go ahead and create an incident on this new service, the sample service. And as you can see, a new incident has been created. Now if I go to this particular incident, I'll see the context that is basically coming from an integration from another service. So I can basically monitor if any of my dependent services have faced any issues in the last 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and add more context to this to this particular service. So I'm going to add maybe our API integration from our prod service, Android prod service, and as a context to our integration. So basically, whenever any new incident is created for this particular service, if I just go to the context, I'll be able to see if any of my dependent services, rather the services that I'm dependent on, or rather the services that this service is dependent on, if they have faced any issues in the last 30 minutes. So I can see a whole bunch of context from my repository and a whole bunch of context from the other service as well. Now for every single incident, you can basically, for the purposes of postmortem, you can set the context time. So if there's, let's say that this particular incident was triggered by a failure from another application, or if you are the on-call engineer and it was assigned to you, and if you want to basically set a window of time for other members to sort of see the context, you can do that from right here. So if let's say that maybe something 2-3 hours back had an effect on the failure, I can set the context window from 2 a.m. to 5:40 a.m. so that anybody else who comes into this particular incident page can just you've basically narrowed down the context for everybody else to see, and they'll be able to sort of reach the RCA, the root cause faster. So hope this video was useful. Thank you for watching.